give you a better idea of the flow of what we are doing with the Evernote, Google Docs, and Screencasting project that we are working on in TLCA. So let me give you a picture that might help you to understand a little bit better of what we are doing. If you notice at the top, we start with Evernote. And if you remember from the very beginning of the year, we began to collect resources related to your assigned domain of the Teacher Leader Model Standards that you chose, and you've worked on this as a team. So you have all together, you have uploaded various resources, articles, thoughts, documents, videos, whatever, that you felt related to the domains. The next thing that we asked you to do that you should have done by now, but if not, now's the time to do it, is the Google Docs presentation. We showed you how to do that, and we asked you to synthesize your learning from the resources you collected in the Evernote notebook and to put it into 8 to 10 slides on this presentation. That is also a team project because we wanted you to have the opportunity to collaborate virtually, and two people can be on the same document at the same time and make revisions together. The third step is screencasting, and we have not shown you everything about that, but what I want to do on this screencast today is to do a screencast for you and show you how that works. The only thing I'm not going to do today is show you how to embed it in wiki projects. I will do that on a separate screencast. All right? This is enough to do. All right, let me start with the Evernote. I went into Thursday night's Evernote notebook, and I went into Domain 7 on policy. And as you can see here, there are several, 6, 8, 10 different resources that have been uploaded to this Domain 7 notebook. And let me give you some ideas of what they did that were really good. They actually put the number and the text of the specific standard that was being addressed here. And so you can see that, and here's a story about Clara Barton, and I'll show you more about that later. Here is one on school turnarounds prompt community backlash. So again, this is about policy. Up here you see the URL where you can find this article, and I wouldn't be surprised if this is intended to be the actual standards that this relates to. So in each case, there is information, and look how this one also included challenge the process and enables others to act. So they've done a very good job of collecting some resources and really talking about how those resources relate to the standards. All right, so once you have that, then you're going to go to Google Docs. It's also called Google Drive if you notice, and you'll create your Google Docs presentation. Some of you have already done this. Now I just took a few things from that notebook, Thursday night's Domain 7 notebook, and I started something to give you an idea of what you could do. Your first slide needs to be introductory to say which domain you're doing, your name, the one name that describes that domain, any other explanatory information that you think is important. Then my next slide, I included an explanation of what Domain 7 is, so that anybody looking at this would have a clear idea that in Domain 7, teacher leaders understands educational policy. They understand who the key players are at every level, and they advocate for the teaching profession and for students. And then I took a couple of the resources that I saw, and I just did a little, couple, 2, 3, 4 sentence summary of what I learned from that resource in relation to the domain. So at the top here, you'll notice I did put 7.3, And then I wrote about this resource, which I showed you earlier. There's the picture of Clara Barton. So I think this is a great thing to talk about. Clara Barton found a group of boys who needed an education, but the current school system would not take them. Those kids could not be educated, was the excuse that was given. So Clara Barton was given this ramshackle one-room schoolhouse, and in that schoolhouse she started with 6 boys in 1852, and by 1853 had 600 students. This was a school system, or rather a school, that was completely run by teachers. This is a great example of advocating for students and fulfilling 7.3 of Domain 7. Another one of the resources that was there was, again, this article that's called Teacher-Led Reform Shines in Massachusetts. So on here, I did put the URL where you can get the article, and I gave a short summary of what it was about. This article talks about a failing school that was taken over by teachers and in a single year raised student achievement by 13 percentage points in math and 20 percentage points in language arts. Teachers need to realize their power and understand the need to engage in policy making. You can see how this has to do with Domain 7. All right, so let's say you have a lot of resources and you don't want to do this with all of them and do a separate slide for all of them. Here's what you could do. Just put links and maybe the topic or the main idea of what that link is about, whether it's an article, a video, or something else. And then down in the speaker notes, you can put what that is about. And when you do your screencast like I'm doing, you can comment on each link and talk about how it relates directly to the domain. Okay? Now you notice on this one, I have this, but I don't have the exact standard up here. It's probably better to have the standard, or at least refer to the standard whenever you're talking about each one of these. All right, so once you've finished your Google Docs, now you're going to want to do a screencast. So I'm suggesting for those of you who've never done this before that you go to Screencast-O-Matic. Look right up here, www.screencast-o-matic.com. Now, and you can just start. You don't have to have an account. You don't have to do anything except just start recording. You can just start recording. Now, let me show you what it looks like when you start recording. I can't show you by doing this because I'm on my Mac and it doesn't work the same way on a Mac. So what I had to do was download the Screencast-O-Matic app. But when you click Start Recording, that's not what it is. When you click it, let's go back here and go to it. Here's what you're going to get. It'll come up in a second. I'm going to use the free version because that's what you'll be using. You can see it's loading. I'm going to delete that recording, so don't worry about it. Okay, this is what you're actually going to see. When you hit that start recording button over there, this is what you're going to see. And you can see it says you can drag and resize this frame. You can drag it, you can resize it, you know, you can make it bigger, smaller, whatever you'd like to do. You can do all of those things. Then decide what you want to show, and in this case, probably you're going to want to size it to fit the, I'm having a harder time with this. It'll be much easier for you when you're not on a Mac. So size it to fit where you are, and then you will begin to record. The record button is down here. When you do that, you're going to see 3, 2, 1, and it will begin recording. Notice down here that you will see that the microphone is working and is recording your voice, and you can just go through everything that's on the screen. Whatever's inside the red box is going to be recording. So if you started up at the top, you would start talking about who you are and which domain you're on, what your domain is all about. Here's a resource. Here's another resource. Here are several resources you might be interested in. And when you're done, you just click Done. Now look what happens. Here you are, and it will bring you to a page similar to this where you will have the option to publish it to Screencast-O-Matic itself, to YouTube, or to a video file. If you do it to a video file, it means it's something that's going to stay on your computer. But I'm suggesting you publish it to YouTube. So here's what you do. You just click Publish to YouTube. It's going to give you an opportunity to title it and give a description. You can decide on a category that you think is important. I'm just going to leave it there. You can decide whether you want it to be private or public, whatever you would like. And then, you see, this is my YouTube account because I do have one. That might mean you might need to go into YouTube and set up an account for yourself. It's basically connected to your Google account. So if you have a Google account, you can have a YouTube account. So when I get there, I'm going to upload to YouTube. Let's try that again. Upload to YouTube. Now you can see it is uploading. It's called My Screencast. You could title it something else. So we're going to give it a minute to do that. It's almost done. We're at 95%. There's 100%. Now it's uploading. And now you've got a link. When you click on that link, it goes to YouTube and it's being processed there. This is a great way then to embed it into wiki projects, and again, as I said, I will show you that a little bit later, but this is where you want your screencast to end up. Let's see if it's going to finish. I think this one is going to take a little bit longer. Alright, so what do you need? You need to make sure that you have your resources in Evernote. You have to make sure, number 2, that you have created your Google Docs document that has summarized what you learned and how it relates to the domain. You need to go on Screencast-O-Matic, just hit Start Recording and record it, whichever part you want to record, just talking over it. And then finally, you will upload it to YouTube, and it's from there that we can put it into wiki projects. See if this helps you. I hope it does. Thanks.